Hello everyone, this is Kev here from LifeSuccessEngineer.com, and today I am joined by another tribe of arbitrager in Luke. Good to see you, Luke.
Good to see you, Kev. Thanks for having me on.
And yeah, I'm really excited about this one because Luke, I met Luke at the couple of months ago now at the OA Summit, and I thought it would be great to bring him onto the Tribe of Arbitragers show, the episodes. So do you want to just give everybody a bit of a quick bio on who Luke is and what your experience has been on all things reselling online?
Yeah, sure. I'll give a quick sort of overall summary and focus then more on the recent reselling stuff. So I was born in South Africa, moved over to England when I was 5. From there, lived in sort of down south for a couple of years, moved up to North Wales for a while, and my sort of reselling started when I was 11. I ran a second-hand shop at my primary school. I made a couple £100. But it started from there, and then as I was sort of growing up, I sold sort of like virtual currency for online games through my teenage years, and then sort of ended up playing a bit of online poker, not really reselling, but that's what my focus for a while. When I finished school, I went to Australia for 6 months, and I kind of stopped the poker there, sort of just enjoyed myself for 6 months. Then when I came back, I went to university in Leeds and studied accounting. Well, I was studying accounting and finance. And then last summer, after my first year of uni, I kind of sat down and was like, I want to do something over 3 months here. So I looked at YouTube. Naturally, through my course, I sort of looked towards the stock market, that kind of stuff. Ended up finding a guy called Stefan James and found out about private label. From there, I saw stuff about online arbitrage, retail arbitrage. Thought this looks good. I can get started. And by the end of August last year, I'd sold my first product on Amazon, and it's kind of just gone from there. So over the past few months, I think it's probably like 9 months now or so, I've just been selling on Amazon. Was retail arbitrage mainly, and OA. Now it's just pretty much OA online arbitrage, and I'm starting to dip my toes into a bit of wholesale as well, and that pretty much takes us up to today.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you've been you started young then. From 11 years old, you was thinking about making money. That's amazing. Because I know for myself, certainly I didn't start when I was 11 years old. So wow, it's always been in you. So okay, then. So the first question then is, how has failure or apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have any favorite failures of yours?
Yeah, so I think this one is interesting. I think I'll emphasize the apparent failure side of things. So to me, I don't really consider it as a failure, but I think dropping out of university. So over Easter this year, I decided to drop out of university. I was sort of at home for 3 or 4 weeks and just focusing on the business, really enjoyed it, just kind of being at home, doing my own thing pretty much. And I was like, there's a few events coming up that I couldn't have gone to if I had my exams, and so I was just like, why am I at uni? I enjoyed the social side of university and everything, the sport, but I was like, I just want to focus on the business here. So I made the decision to drop out, and I think that's kind of a failure in quite a lot of people's eyes, because it's sort of like when you tell people and they're like, oh, sorry to hear that kind of thing. I'm like, oh no, don't worry. I'm pretty happy about the whole situation. So I'd say that's probably the sort of apparent failure. And I know it's only recently, but from there, I mean, I've been to the Amherfest, which was in Manchester about a month ago, and I met some people that I've spoken to online, and I've built some sort of relationships there that are starting to really sort of have an impact in my business, not so much the reselling, but in terms of the personal brand type thing, affiliate stuff. And if I was still in university, would I have had that opportunity? Probably not. And there's a few other things as well. I've started hiring some VAs. I wouldn't have had the time. I've had the exams. So I think it's that kind of apparent failure that was in a way sort of holding me back, because I had that commitment. University was there, and the selling online was kind of a side type thing, whereas now it's my full focus, and I've just given everything to that. And so I think that taking that step, which has been difficult because now all my friends are in summer and they just sit around, do whatever they want kind of thing, and I'm there like, oh, I can do that, but at the end of the day, whatever I put in, I get out of the business. So yeah, I think that's the apparent failure for me.
Yeah, I think that's a huge one as well. I mean,
Yeah.
the knock-on effect of that, it's completely changed the course of your entire life in many ways. Like, and you don't really, obviously, you don't fully appreciate how much it's changed until like the relationships that you build, how that sort of goes over the next 5-10 years. So that's amazing. And I think it goes to one of the things that, because I went to university myself, and I actually ended up staying in university, and I ended up getting my degree and everything. But I sort of sometimes think to myself, God, I spent 8 years doing my education through college and then university, and I always think to myself, is that like a failure of mine? Because it was so long that I was like studying, and I don't use any of that sort of knowledge in terms of electrical engineering at this point. But I suppose a lot of the things that it taught me was sort of from the systemization point of view and the way to think and things. But it's just fascinating. I like that. Okay, then. So question 2 then is, what is one of the best or most worthwhile investments that you've ever made? It could be anything to do with time, money, or energy.
Ooh, tough one. Yeah, there's quite a few things I could go with. I think in terms of probably really recently, the time I've been investing in sort of hiring VA. So I'll talk a bit more about that. So I'm now in the fourth week of hiring VAs. So I hired 6 VAs, recruited, then trained for a week, and then this is their 3rd week that they've been sourcing for me. And it's been incredibly time consuming. So I've been putting in most of my time into managing these VAs, sort of writing operating procedures, sort of tracking their performance, reviewing products that they find, giving feedback, all that kind of stuff. And it's hard to really appreciate how long that takes until you actually do it, and how difficult it is, because they're only as good as sort of you are as training them and telling them what to do at the end of the day. I mean, if you hire someone who's like a good VA, they can only do what you sort of teach them, in effect. And I say this is a good investment of my time. While I'm not sort of reaping the rewards yet in terms of what they're finding. I'm sort of making a bit of a profit on what they're finding, but I say it's more beneficial in terms of the skills that I've learned. I look at it now, like how many people at my age can say that they've recruited 6 people, they're managing sort of 6 people, that kind of thing. And that the skills I'm learning every day, it's crazy in terms of trying to talk to them the right way to get the best out of them. You want to be critical, but you want to be constructive. And sometimes it's weird, because I'll say something, I'll give them a bit of feedback, and I don't mean to be sort of harsh or whatever, but they'll come back and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, everything. And it makes me feel bad, because it's like, oh, okay. But then the difficult thing, I think the most difficult thing I had to do was, because I originally had 8 VAs after the trial week, and it's like, this is too many. So I had to cut that down to 6, and to sort of get rid of 2 VAs. At the end of the day, call them a VA or whatever, but they're real people, and you sort of have these Skype calls with them, you build a relationship, and it's tough because they need the work for their family just as sort of everyone else does. And so to sort of have to let them go from the business, it was tough. And I think while I'm not really benefiting from those skills as much now, I look at it, and the way I look at it is that whatever I do now in the future, whether I carry on my business, whether I go into a job, do whatever, the skills I've learned in terms of management, managing people, working, building relationships, recruitment, or whatever, that's going to be so beneficial for me, I think. But yeah, it's tough, because I could look at a lot of things I've sort of invested in, and one of them.
I think it's a great example, and I also think that, like, building the business, you get you get such a diverse set of skills from, like you just mentioned, from the whole sort of how do you hire and recruit people, but just how do you actually work with people, and how do you talk to them, and how do you guide them and mentor them, and all the things that come with that. So regardless on what happens in your future. You've got so much really valuable experience there.
Yeah.
So it's a great example there. So, okay, question 3 then is, in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
I think I'll summarize it in terms of routines, and then I'll get a bit more specific. And I think it's kind of like your big sort of motto is sort of take massive action. I think it's kind of to do with that as well. So one part of that is the gym. So I've always been a case of every sort of summer I've gone, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get sort of nice body. So just for my personal pride is something I've always sort of wanted to do. And I never really did that up until end of last winter. I was like, okay, I'm actually going to do it. And I did it for about a month. Then over Christmas, I sort of stopped. And then in February this year, I got going again, sort of got going, a bit difficult. But now for like the last 2 months or so, I've been going to the gym sort of 4 or 5 times a week. And I'm really sort of taking pride in that. And that has knock-on effects in terms of another thing I'm doing is sort of waking up earlier. And while this week I've been a bit bad for a couple of reasons, it's these sort of multiple things in terms of building a routine that at university and at school I was really struggling with. So, for example, during summer holidays in school, if I was playing poker, I'd play poker till like 3, 4 a.m. or I'd be gaming or whatever, and then I'd wake up at 2, 3 in the afternoon and whatever. And I don't think it's that healthy. Like in terms of, I don't know, I just didn't feel that healthy. I always felt like I had like sort of cold like symptoms, sort of body wise. I wasn't unhappy, but I wasn't that happy with it. And now like I'm going to the gym, I'm sort of getting up early, I'm eating better, and it's those sort of routines that I'm building. And it's not perfect yet, nowhere near, but it's sort of working towards that. And I think that has knock-on effects in terms of how I perform in business, how I perform in everyday life, my happiness. I'm getting more done, and when I get stuff done earlier, then I've got the rest of the day to sort of enjoy it. I can get stuff done during the week, and on the weekends I've got that time to sort of spend with friends, family, or whatever. And it's improving, but it's something at university I never really had because it was all over the place. You'd be out one night, the next day you'd have a 9 a.m. lecture, then the day after that you'd have a 3 p.m. lecture and you'd sleep in, and it was just all over the place. And so I think to sort of summarize, just routines is one thing over the last, not even 5 years, but just over the last 6 months that I've really developed. And I think that's helped me knock-on effect in business and personal life.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic answer. Really is, because I mean that you've pretty much just summarized like the secret to success in many ways. It's like if you can focus down on to your routines and make them empowering, so they're actually like provide you or push you towards growth and taking action in your business. Because I remember I was as an electrical engineer, I had a couple of times when I had to do like night shifts and things, and it completely. I know exactly what you mean about it makes you feel ill. Like I used to get home at like 5:30, 6 a.m. after an entire night shift, and I'd be in bed until 1 p.m. and I'd wake up and it's like your whole body clock is all wrong. You're not feeling great. You're knackered, and it's like 2 p.m. and it's all wrong. So, totally appreciate you there by saying that. But okay, then. So, what is the best advice you would give somebody about to enter the world of arbitrage?
Yeah, I think I remember sort of looking at this question. It's a really tough one because there's so much I could say. But there's sort of 2 things I'll go on, and one's just from personal experience. So I think I did quite a lot of research before I started the world of arbitrage, but it was quite funny. So I made my first ever sale, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I looked and I was like, what the hell? I've sold this product in Germany. Like, what's this? I didn't realize this. What's this? I was like, why have I not sold it in England? Like, what's going on here? I looked around, and it's like I've sort of broke even on it because of for those who don't know, the fees for the European fulfillment network are a lot higher than those for the UK for obvious reasons. So I think that's one thing I'd say is make sure you're aware of sort of not everything, because I think a lot of people will go into analysis paralysis where they'll look at too much, never get started, take action. And at the end of the day, like, so what if I've sold one product and broken even? It doesn't matter. Like, I could have spent another month analyzing everything and not got started. So I think there's two things there. One, do the research, but more importantly, just get going. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Just get going. And another thing is, a smaller thing is, what I see it around in some of the groups sometimes. It's about this 3 times rule, and I think it's absolute nonsense, really, where people say you got to buy stuff for that's going to sell for 3 times as much. And I look at that, and you're like, you wouldn't buy something for £1 that's going to sell for £3. And then on the flip side of that, you wouldn't buy something for, well, you would buy something for £100 that's going to sell for 300, but you'd also buy it if it sold for 200. And there's a lot more to it than that. A lot more other analysis you've got to do. So I could talk about this point for ages. I'll stop there. But I think the biggest thing is just get going, do the research, but take that plunge. Like, what's the worst going to happen?
Yeah, and what you just said there about the ×3 or any type of rule of thumb like that, where people are just sort of like, okay, if it's selling for more than double, that's what I got. That's what I got when I first started. When I started sort of taking action, and one of the things that I kept on seeing was like, if it's selling more than double, then that's a good sign. And I was like, there is obviously a lot more involved than just like ×3 or ×2 or whatever the case is. But you're absolutely right. Just get started, and you'll figure it out as you go along. Because, like in your case, selling something in Germany, like you're like, oh, you wasn't expecting that, but you've just learned something.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's a good example there. Okay, then. So question 6 is actually question 5 is, what are bad recommendations you hear about arbitrage?
Yeah, so there's obviously that 3 times rule, but I think another one that I see in general is too much emphasis on the current sales rank. So I look at this and I'll give this first because a lot of people won't know what I'm on about, but from a finance of accounting background point of view, you have these things called statement of financial positions, and I think some people will know what I'm on about, some people won't, and that's a snapshot in time. It tells you about the business at that exact moment in time, and that's kind of like what a sales rank is. It tells you about how that product, how fast it's selling at that exact moment in time. The problem is it's not accurate, and it was actually Luke Pastor who explained this really, really well at the Online Arbitrage Summit with books. He sort of gave an example. I don't have an example off the top of my head, but you could have a product that one day is 200,000 rank, and then it makes a sale, and the next day it's like 50,000. So if you looked at that product yesterday at that static sales rank of 200,000, you might have gone, oh, okay, it's not a great product. You look at it today at 50,000, like, oh, it's an amazing product. So first of all, if you're going to look at sales rank, look at it over a period of at least 90 days and take an average. Then the second point about sales rank is to look at it relative to the category. Some categories like books, there's millions of products. Some categories, there's a lot less. So look at the relative to the category and try and get the BSR, bestseller rank percentage, which will tell you how it's performing relative to that category. Because, for example, a rank 200,000 book is going to be really fast selling, but a rank 200,000 toy, not so much. So that's the second point. Third point is, as I sort of said at the start, don't rely on sales rank by itself. It doesn't tell you the whole story. So that product might be ranked whatever at a certain price point, but you don't know how it's performing at another price point. It could be a really high rank at the moment, but it could have just gone out of stock, or the price could be twice as high. So say you can get a product for £5 and the current price is £50, but it's really, really slow selling. And this is why Keep is so essential. But you look at the Keeper graph and see 3 months ago, it was selling 100 units a month at 30 quid. That's an amazing product. But you might look at it and go, oh, I'm not going to buy that because it doesn't sell. So I think Keeper, I think that's the biggest point there to summarize. Don't rely on sales rank. And anyone who says Keeper's not essential, they're wrong in my opinion. Get Keeper, just do it. It's like €13 a month or whatever. Just get it because it's essential.
It really is essential. And you're absolutely right. With sales rank, I've always tried to share this myself as well. Like, sales rank is only a moment in time.
Yeah.
And if you are only looking at a snapshot, like at this exact moment right now, you're not considering the bigger picture. You've got to look at the history. You've got to look at the last 1 month, the last 3 months, and just see what really has gone on. So great answer, great recommendations, good points there. Okay, so the last question then is, when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, or you've lost your focus temporarily, what do you do?
Yeah, often I'll go and take a shower. So I think in this, like, I'm only 21, so it might be weird me saying this, but I think I look at maybe 40 years ago, and there's a lot less technology around, sort of mobile phones. You have all these things where your mind's just always busy, and busy is not necessarily good. It's not the same as productive or whatever. You can be busy, you can be sort of going through emails, you can get overwhelmed just doing day-to-day stuff and getting that feeling, as you said, of being overwhelmed or whatever. And that's why I like going for a shower, because then you don't have all these distractions. I just go there and I can just think. It's refreshing. Like when I get out of the shower, I feel better afterwards. But then I can just take a step back and look at the business or life in general, just sort of from a perspective. I mean, you can take that however you want. You can look at it from the fact that, like for me personally, I'm living in a decent area in the UK. I'm healthy. My family's healthy. You can look at it from that point of view, or you can just look at it more specifically and go, okay, this is one day in however many years, and whatever the problem is probably not that big a deal as you think it is at that time. And you can look at it from the perspective and think, okay, what am I going to do about this without having all this stuff and distractions in front of you? And so I think, yeah, like just taking a shower, that's my answer in short. Yeah.
I love the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever feel a bit overwhelmed or unfocused, just jump in the shower and just get away from it a little bit. I love it. I absolutely love it, Luke. How can people that are watching this, how can they find you? Whereabouts are you online?
Yeah, cool. So I've got a Facebook group, iGen Entrepreneur. I'm guessing it'll probably be linked, so you can probably check it out there. It's pretty difficult to spell it. And then on YouTube as well, iGen Entrepreneur. So yeah, I try and put out some content there, and the Facebook's more of a community type thing. So yeah, if you want to go and check it out, feel free and see what I've got to share.
Yeah, I'll have all the links in the description below. So if you want to check out Luke, if you've got any questions whatsoever for Luke, don't hesitate to ask any questions for him. He will be able to see your questions. And if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it, and Luke would appreciate it too. But yeah, fantastic answers. I really appreciate your time today, Luke. And yeah, thank you very much, guys. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care.
Awesome. See you guys.